Super Draco here, and we're back for another episode of Why, the show where I don't always have an answer to that question. So, we're continuing the treasure box, and you keep alternating saying puzzle box, but I mean treasure box. It's just. How often do you say puzzle box or treasure box in your normal parlance, let alone puzzle box? So, we're continuing where we are building the actual treasure storage thing. So, my only real complaint with this has been that on these cogs, especially, they have this sprue attached in between the teeth of the cog. And I don't know if that's necessity for structure or it's just a choice, but either way, as you can see from my sandpaper how beat up it's getting, trying to get in there is not the easiest, especially not with just a piece of sandpaper or a sanding stick. Because like you can see them in the upper left hand corner, I had my sanding sticks, but they wouldn't have fit in there. So, anyhow, but that's a minor complaint in the grand scheme of things. And I thought about it, and I've gone back and forth because I'm not sure if I should have been waxing both sides of the gears because the instructions only show one side. But given they gave so much wax, it probably wouldn't have mattered. And as you can see, due to the warped nature of those, that the cogs are sliding on thanks to the wax, but not super well. So anyway, real quick, if you notice, Part 7 didn't come out when it was supposed to. That was a problem on my end. The upload never finished because my PC I edit is hooked to the internet via Wi-Fi. Because my modem only has two Ethernet ports. And so since I don't do a lot of my internet heavy stuff on my PC, I have it just run through a Wi-Fi chip. So for some reason my Wi-Fi disconnected and the video didn't upload and come out. Now I've rectified that because you saw it's out, but still that's annoying. So as I continue waxing this last gear, so recently finished watching Gunsword. That was an interesting anime. I mean, it's very, very early 2000s, and whoever did their character designs really liked women in thongs, but in a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff, there are a lot of women in thongs, aren't there? Because I remember that woman, it was Kamandi at Earth's End. I just remember the woman, her pants were basically a combat thong with legs attached to it. That was a weird outfit because who had the resources to make it and the know-how to make it in the post-apocalyptic world? And what practical use did it have? Anyway, I'm getting off topic again. But Gunsword was pretty good. And it's a case where the voice actors really helped the show shine. The main character, his insane laugh when he's finally found the claw and knew what he looked like, it was one of the most deranged and insane sounding things I've heard in a long time. I also recently decided to rewatch Gridman, or SSSS. Was that 4 or was that 5? Whatever, Gridman. Studio Trigger never fails to create something visually dynamic, but they also even animated the shoulder pads flopping around like they did in the Gridman TV show. But I enjoyed it. I'm going to rewatch Dynazenon next because I believe that there was a movie crossover, Gridman vs. Dynazenon, coming. Which will be interesting because I'd like to see full power Gridman and Kaiser Grid Knight working as a team. So, just coming back to the action on the screen, we're just building the keys that turn the enter mechanism that opens the storage box, or the inner storage box after you open the combination lock. Oh yeah, so Gridman. They always manage to get me with that scene in the final episode where Gridman's armor comes off and they start playing the classic theme. Because that theme is super 90s, but not in a bad way, but I really think that if it wasn't Trigger, that other studios would have had a harder time pulling that off. On top of that, trying to think what else I saw. I thought I saw an announcement for Konosuba getting a 3rd season. And I saw a confirmation that Welcome to Demon School is getting a 4th season. So good stuff coming up on the anime front. And as your catch-all nerd, I don't think it's a shock that I love anime, given my love of Gundam. So, I've got something for my next. I've said before I've got my next Transformer video, and I think I'm going to film it and try to have it out by Monday or Tuesday. Because I'm still working on how I film those, because unlike these videos, I'd either have to meticulously plan them or I have to do the audio live. And while I could meticulously plan, that sounds boring, and at the risk of sounding egotistical, I feel like that lacks charm. That really does feel like an egotistical thing to say. But, and this is just me thinking, because like I said, I think where I'm not super planning what I'm going to say makes these videos feel a little more natural. Because even though I watch a few Let's Play YouTubers, sometimes their videos just don't feel real, because I think they scripted out some of their jokes and their audio. I saw some people discussing in a live stream YouTube is loosening their policies on swearing, which is good. Because I try not to swear myself, but at the same time, I don't like a platform that people are able to bypass the rules and post pornography. punishing people for swearing when they can't even clean the pornography off their own website. But at the same time, like many corporations, I think YouTube, the upper echelons of YouTube, show very little awareness of what they're of how they're of what hurts YouTube. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, "Hey, we have a kids app, but all their TOS terms of service are for adults or people over the age of, I think, 12 or 13." And then they're promoting the kids app all over the place, and which put them under the purview of a law. I believe it's the COPPA law. But either way, I think I'm getting out of my depth talking about law and COPPA and all this other stuff that doesn't really affect me. Because first up, I'm not monetized. Second of all, although I don't think my content is meant for children or aimed at them, it's still, I would argue this is reasonably family friendly. I mean, my old channel I had years ago was very much so not family friendly, but that's besides the point. This is 2023 and a lot of things are different. Now I noticed something interesting in the build with these little dowels, that they're going into round holes, but if you look, the peg actually reshapes the hole to be square like the dowels. I don't know if that was intentional, if that's just a normal thing with woodworking or what, but I noticed that, and I'm not going to say it was a mind blower, but it was an interesting observation. I will say I am fascinated by some of these gears because they have extra holes punched in them, and I'm wondering if there's a reason for those extra holes. Are they for some kind of structural reason? Are they to lighten the gear up so it turns better, it has less friction? I don't know, I might have to look into that. That's an interesting question. So this was a recurring issue if you've been watching this, that I keep losing the wax, but that's just ADD at work, nothing that exciting to discuss. As at this point, you might notice my wax has got a nice little indent in it that the teeth of the cogs are fitting into, so it's actually waxing them a lot better. I don't know if that's good technique on my part, or I just got incredibly lucky. So, as you can see, I'm adjusting the dowels because I had them pushed all the wrong direction. but that's an easy one to adjust. I do have something else new I want to acquire and build on camera. Um, as it goes, I'm a fan of firearms. I don't own many, and I do own some. But there's one firearm I want to acquire. And I don't care if it's a real or a reproduction, but I want an M1 Garand, or Garand, however you pronounce it, from World War II. As I've just been fascinated by that particular rifle, and I want to get one. I want to be able to own one and fire it, and I want to be able to hear that signature ping in person. But anyway, I found a model kit of an M1 Garand. It's a miniature, and I'm going to see if I can find a decent price on it, and that might be something coming up on a future episode of Why. But speaking of the future, as I install this is going to be the last thing we do in this episode. This is another case I should have sanded some of those pegs so they went in a little easier, but at the same time I didn't want to compromise the stability. Either way, thanks for watching.